fall of 2019, everyone would have scoffed at anyone who predicted the next 12 months. Good morning, I'm Dia Akbar of Rajgiri College of Management and Applied Sciences, and I'm here to present my paper, a study on the impact of COVID-19 in the present business milieu. A world like now is the least prognosis of all. Tomorrow lies on a question mark. And the root cause of all these lie on COVID-19, the chaotic pandemic of 20th century. This COVID-19 led to drastic changes all over the world, especially in the business firms. Well, what is the nature of this change and what is the impact that COVID-19 has caused in the business realm? This paper aims on these topics and also compares the conventional and the new reality of the business realm. COVID-19, widely known as the game changer of 21st century, has caused a lot of vivid modeling throughout the world. Business world has faced a drastic change, but the nature of this change is unknown to many. Digitalization boosts business. Is it a myth or a reality? So let us dive more on the statement of the problem and thereby retrieve the objectives of this paper. As discussed right now about the vivid modeling and the drastic change that the business has undergone, the entire world is quite perplexed about the nature of these changes and remodeling as it is ambiguous. Is Corona a good Samaritan of business? Or what has COVID done to the business world? Is it something that they needed? From this, let us retrieve our first objective, to study the role of COVID-19 in the realm of business. I repeat the objective, to study the role of COVID-19 in the realm of business. Next, what is the stand of business? Are all the business firms and industries drowning in this pandemic? Has Corona exerted the same or similar impact on small scale and large scale business? And has Corona benefited both of them, or did Corona have a slight inclination towards any of these scales? So, from these, let us retrieve our second objective, to analyze the business milieu of both large scale and small scale business on the ground of COVID-19. As the grisly pandemic hit the business realm, digitalization in its most refined form emerged everywhere. But that unfolded a myriad of perplexities everywhere. Is digitalization just confined to digitalizing stuff, or does digitalization have any role in the existence of business in pandemic? And most importantly, how has digitalization evolved under the pandemic? These are the few questions among a lot. From this, we retrieved our third and the last objective, to conduct a thorough analysis of how digital evolution has taken place during the pandemic and to highlight the relationship between business and digital transformation. This is an overview of the statement of the problem and objectives covered under this paper. This study was conducted on the basis of secondary data. Different articles, reports, journal articles, and websites were referred, and it was immensely enlightening throughout the research study. Now, let us move to the limitations. The accuracy of few secondary data was doubtful, which led to an issue on what to rely upon. And the present world is highly volatile, where it is hard to interpret the reality. The reality itself is becoming a mirage right now, and what is expected tomorrow is seen today. The future is so fragile that tomorrow is a big question mark. Now, let us take a quick check on all the important diagrams and graphs covered under the literature review. Now, let us move to findings and expositions. COVID-19 was indeed a wake-up call for business realm.
It helped them to escape from the dawdling business models and establish a new digitalized business operating models brimming with efficiency as well as effectiveness. COVID-19 has contributed towards the inculcation of anti fragility and scenario planning into the new realm of business. These two elements are immensely important for the future days, as and when any pandemic or other catastrophes try to intrude the realm of business, these two elements will hold them together and make sure that they will not collide at any cost. It also remodeled the entire employee ecosystem into a new current ecosystem teeming with efficiency. It helped to inculcate the golden element of resilience. Resilience is a necessity for the future days, and inculcating this resilience into various organizational theories and any other aspects is very important. The future holds uncertainties for us. Let it be another pandemic or let it be any other catastrophes. Resilience is an important element that will hold the organization together from falling down. And it also made sure that the organization developed multiple epiphanies in various aspects and in various departments. From these findings, let us come to an exposition that COVID 19 most definitely acted like a catalyst of improvement in the business world, and it paved a way towards new reality. A new reality filled with anti fragility, scenario planning, resilience, and whatnot. A uh, a new reality for a new tomorrow. Moving on, it is seen that the rich became richer by $637 billion. Quite uncanny, right? But it is a sheer truth. However, small scale business struggled throughout this period and is still struggling. However, they were extensively exposed to the realm of digitalization. As digitalization is becoming the new normal, even the small scale business has started inculcating into their daily lives. Corona essentialized the collusion of digitalization in the business realm for both small scale and large scale, but the scope and intensity of that inculcation or collusion varies a lot in either scales. Moving on to the exposition. The large scale business has benefited from the pandemic a lot, even if they face certain downfalls in profit margin during certain periods. Their business milieu is filled with digital transformation, reinventing employee ecosystem and gorging on various business models. They are on their way to the new reality. The small scale business, however, had a strenuous time to survive in the market. A lot of them didn't even make it. There were a huge number of small scale business that had to be shut down due to this pandemic. However, it cannot be avoided or ignored the fact that they were exposed to the realm of digitalization and they were able to inculcate digitalization into their organizations, even if the scope or the intensity is not as big as the big business large scale firms. Next, Corona essentialized the collusion of digitalization in the business realm. It was explicitly seen that the success resided with those who digitalized themselves. Even the organizations who once had mind blowing turnovers had to be shut down in between this pandemic. They would have survived if they hadn't ignored the golden element of digitalization. The digital acceleration took place in this period extensively. It dived into the fields of digital leadership, decoding one's digital DNA, digital models, and so on and on. It was either go digital or go bust. Moving to the expositions, digital transformation is not just confined to the technological aspects. It is most definitely much more than that. Digital transformation is vital. It has to be there in the crux of every organization, as it has the capabilities and potential to uplift the organizations in case of any uncertainties or any other catastrophes. Digital transformation is necessary. It has to be inscribed in every business organizations with golden letters. To the suggestions. Business firms to probe more on digital leadership and transformation and to continue the acceleration the same pace. Small scale has to be backed up with needed digitalization and firms has to perceive their true potential and opportunities around them and not wait for another pandemic to receive the epiphanies.
Greetings to all. Our research paper for the presentation is titled as Perceived Ease of Use of Social Media Platforms on Mobile During Lockdown. Myself, Sheena Matthew, Assistant Professor of Commerce, Basilius Paulos Second College, Pramadam. The paper is co-authored by Dr. Vineet K.M., Assistant Professor of Commerce, Government College, Tripunithura. Social media is originated as a way to interact with the friends and family, which helps one to keep in touch with their dear ones. It is a computer or mobile-based technology that facilitates the sharing of ideas, thoughts, and information through virtual networks and communities. This platform has offered new opportunities for creating and sharing various activities like photo sharing, video sharing, blogging, social gaming, social networks, virtual world, reviews, researchers, career opportunities, and much more. The focal point of its use is that it connects the people across the globe with like-minded interests and share their own thoughts, feelings, and insights online. The various networking media like Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, etc. have added enthusiasm and excitement to people, which made them spend hours on internet-based applications. Nowadays, the use of social media networking is made compelling for various purposes. We have done few relevant reviews of literature. Rebecca Sheen, Kumaran Wilson, and Jennifer Keelan explained that social media is becoming a powerful addition and utilized currently as broadcasting platform to amplify messages from traditional media sources to reach the target audiences. Michelle Lane and Philip Coleman revealed that higher perceived ease of use leads to higher perceived usefulness and ultimately greater intensity of use of the social networking media. It is expected that those with high ease of use social network media found more useful. Osa Ashi and Agatha Gifty Larson revealed that social media has exploded as a category of online discourse where people create content, share it, bookmark it, and network the same at a prodigious rate. Ali Mohammed et al. Revealed that social networking media are becoming popular among students and teachers in higher education. Researchers have also started to explore the use of social networking media for teaching and learning in higher education. Coming to the statement of the problem. Social media networks are the only platforms which are heavily dependent by almost all human lives. Be it rich or poor, businessmen or agriculturists, white-collar workers or daily wage earners, all depend much on social media for various purposes and reasons. With the development and advancement in technology, there arises a need to conduct a study on the perceived easiness of using social media platforms on mobile, which is considered to be a common device of the people to have a mass reach. The study aims at understanding the major factors that led to the preference towards networking media over mobile phone. Various objectives of the study are to study the perceived ease of use regarding social media platforms, to assess the relationship among perceived ease of use and independent variables, to identify the association between demographic factors and perceived ease of use, to evaluate the usage of social media apps on mobile. The conceptual model adopted from Shubhatin Roy, who is a faculty of IIM, is these constructs: smartphone self-efficacy, perceptions of external control, smartphone playfulness, and perceived enjoyment, which in turn causes perceived ease of use. The present study is empirical in nature. The constructs and conceptual model has been adopted from Shubhadin Roy. Google Forms has been devised to collect responses, and it could collect 205 responses which form the basis of the study. All the constructs are found to be reliable for statistical procedures with a Cron-Banches alpha above 0.7. Test of normality produced significant p-values for all the constructs with less than 0.05, and it could be inferred that the data is not normally distributed. Hence, non-parametric procedures are recommended for inferences. The study has the following research hypothesis. There is a significant perception towards perceived ease of use, smartphone self-efficacy, perception of external control, smartphone playfulness, and perceived enjoyment. There is a significant relationship between the dependent variable perceived ease of use and independent variables, smartphone self-efficacy, perception of external control, smartphone playfulness, and perceived enjoyment. There is a significant association between the perception regarding perceived ease of use, smartphone self-efficacy, perception of external control, perceived enjoyment, and demographic factors. Table 1 shows the profile of the sample with cutting across different demographics in gender, age, region, education, and occupation. Table 2 shows that all the constructs perceived ease of use, smartphone self-efficacy, perceptions of external control, smartphone playfulness, and perceived enjoyments are positively perceived, and the same is found to be statistically significant with a p-value less than 0.05. The correlation analysis between the variables reduced significant positive correlation between the variables. Regarding the association between demographic factors and perception, perception towards smartphone playfulness alone is found to be significantly associated with gender with p-value less than 0.05, wherein male users found to find it more playful than female users. Perceptions of external control and perceived enjoyment are found to be associated with age with a p-value less than 0.05. Users above the age of 50 find a low perception of external control and perceived enjoyment. Region of residence is not found to be significantly associated with the perception of users of social media apps with a p-value greater than 0.05. Perception of external control and perceived enjoyment are found to be significantly associated with education with a p-value less than 0.05. Users with postgraduate education have a high perception of external control and also perceived enjoyment. Occupation is not found to be significantly associated with the perception of users with p-value greater than 0.05. Usage of social media. WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram are found to be most used social media platforms among the users, and the same is found to be statistically significant with a p-value less than 0.05. The low level of usage of Telegram and Twitter are also found to be statistically significant with a p-value less than 0.05. Association between demographic factors and usage of social media. The usage of Twitter alone is found to be associated with gender with p-value less than 0.05, and male respondents are found to be using Twitter more than female. Usage of Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram are found to be associated with age with p-value less than 0.05. The age group of 30 to 50 are found to be more using Facebook and WhatsApp, while the age group below 30 are found to be more using Instagram. Region of residence is not found to be associated with the usage of social media with a p-value greater than 0.05. Usage of Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram are found to be associated with education with a p-value less than 0.05. While postgraduate respondents are using Facebook and WhatsApp more, Instagram is more used by undergraduates. Usage of Facebook and Twitter are found to be associated with occupation with a p-value less than 0.05. Self employed respondents are using Facebook more driven by the marketing opportunities. Twitter is found to be more used by the self employed and salaried respondents. We also inquired the opinion of the respondents regarding the usage of social media during and after lockdown in 2020. The user's opinion regarding the increased usage of social media during and after lockdown in 2020 is found to be statistically significant, with a mean value of 4.18, with a median of 4, and with a p-value less than 0.05. Coming to the discussion, social media is growing in usage and content day by day. The adoption rates of mobile apps are becoming increasingly critical in the business realm due to ease of use, quick access to specialized content, and engaging functionality. The perceived ease of use is found to be a prominent factor in the user adoption across different demographics. WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram lead the market with maximum usage pattern. Devising tools for content optimization is found to fetch enormous marketing opportunities through user engagement. Lockdown and the pandemic situation has increased the usage and the opportunities herein. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gigi Shelias, Research Scholar, Department of Educational Technology, Bharathidasan University, Tiruchirappalli. My topic of this paper is social media usage of higher secondary students. In the context of the lockdown due to COVID-19, usage of mobile phones has increased among adolescents. Usage of mobile phones for educational purpose as well as for entertainment makes them more addicted to mobile phones and electronic gadgets. The usage of social media for entertainment as well as educational purpose make them more addicted to electronic gadgets and various social media apps. In this scenario, sufficient studies in social media usage should be increased. So, the investigator developed an SMUS, that is social media usage scale, and administered to students of higher secondary level, and the social media usage prevalence was found out. The study shows that most of the students are not prevalent to social media, and the social media usage does not depend on their locality, gender, course stream, and management of schools. While coming to the introduction, we know the social media usage is increased among adolescents, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. The usage of mobile phones is increased due to the development of online teaching learning process in a higher amount. The usage of social media also increased because most of the teachers are using social media platforms for their teaching learning process. So this study have an importance because the students or adolescents who are not having access to smartphones in a period was now having full freedom to use this social media and their electronic gadgets. The parents who are restricted their wards from using social media or smartphones now allowing them, because the learning process is going on through social media or with the help of electronic gadgets because of this lockdown and the pandemic situation. The research questions are, does social media usage increase among the higher secondary students, and at what level social and demographic factors affected the social media usage? The objectives of study are to develop and standardize a social media usage scale, which is termed as SMUS, and to determine the social media usage of higher secondary students, and to establish relationship between demographic factors and social media usage. Area of their location, management type, gender, course stream. These are the demographic factors taken in this study. For data collection, the social media usage scale is used and it is converted into a Google form. This Google form is given to the samples from two different higher secondary schools which are located in a rural and urban area. One is aided and one is government school, through the WhatsApp groups of their schools. Each class having individual WhatsApp groups. So with the permission of school authorities, the class teachers shared the Google form to the class. And for data analysis, to find out the significance of difference, student status was implemented. The instrument for the study, as told earlier, social media usage scale is used for this study. It has 22 statements and it is developed and validated by the investigator. Among these 22 statements, 10 are negative statements and rest 12 are positive statements. It is a 5-point Likert scale having a maximum score 110. And the samples can score a minimum of 22. If the sample is 100% neutral to the statements, the score will be 66. And coming to the results and discussion, the mean value of social media usage of higher secondary students were found to be 60.65. And a positive skewness was showed in the analysis. It shows that the students are not much prevalent to social media usage, because if they are 100% neutral, the score value should be 66. But we have got a mean value of 60.65. It shows the students are not much prevalent to the social media usage. Coming to the demographic factors, the social media usage of students when compared with respect to their locality, gender and management of schools, the rural and urban schools shows a t-value of 0.629 and the level at a significant level of 0.05. The degrees of freedom of this sample is 90, being the total number of samples taken is 92. 0.629 is not significant at a 0.05 level. While comparing the gender, the male and female students also shows a t-value 0.161. It also says that there is no significant difference between the samples. And while comparing the management of school, the t-value is 0.254 and it also shows there is no significant difference between government and aided schools. While comparing the social media usage with respect to the course stream, that is, there are 3 courses are running in higher secondary level: science, commerce and humanities. When comparing the course stream with the social media usage, the sum of squares and mean squares between groups are 9.789 and 0.316 respectively, and sum of squares and mean square within group is 35.2 and 0.587, and the F ratio is 0.969. It is also shows that there is no significant difference at 0.05 level. So the study shows that most of the students are not prevalent to social media usage, but in our concept the hypothesis also developed that being they are using more time the social media and gadgets, the rate of their prevalency should be increased. But the study shows most of the students are not prevalent to social media usage. Social media usage do not depend on their locality, gender, course stream and management of school. The locality, whether they are from rural area or urban area, male or female, which course they are studying and what type of management their school is. There is no significant difference, or there is no dependence on social media usage regarding these factors. That is the study report, and thank you.
Good evening, sir. I am Sudeshna Sarkar, a research scholar at Ranchi University. I am honored to present a topic on the National Conference Life in 2020's social, cultural, and economic dimensions. I want to share my screen now for the presentation. I am presenting this study with my research guide, Dr. Jayanta Kumar Chakravarti, who is an associate professor at St. Xavier's College at Ranchi. Internet is changing the way we work, the way we socialize and create and share information. And over the past few years, we have observed that internet has accounted for a large proportion of the GDP growth in most of the developed economies. And internet also brings in a lot of opportunities for us in the year 2020s. The ability to communicate and engage more people can continue to grow exponentially. Hence, I decided to choose this topic, Internet Usage and Economic Performance of India using an auto-regressive distributive lag approach. Literature review. According to Dedrick, 2003, ICTs are widely regarded as critical components of technology implementation, as well as facilitating methods and techniques for capitalizing on technological and scientific advances. Hodrop and Awad in 2016 concluded in their study that economic development and globalization are also influenced by ICT. Xu and Lam, according to their studies, concluded that there is a strong and positive connection between telecommunications infrastructure and economic development. My need of the study is to contribute to the existing knowledge by presenting an empirical data on the effects of the internet use in India, which was not dealt largely in the previous studies. The objectives of my study are to determine the impact of the internet use on India's economic growth, to estimate the relationship between internet use and economic growth in India, to predict the GDP growth and the growth of internet in the future years. Data and methodology. In my research methodology, I have included some of the variables such as GDP per capita as provided by the RBI database. I have included some control variables such as fixed broadband subscription per 100 inhabitants and international bandwidth, which is used as a proxy for internet usage. I have used a secondary data over the period of 2007 to 2019. We investigate the relation and the nature of the causality by using an auto-regressive distributive lag in a trivariate estimation technique. Trivariate because I am using the three variables GDP, fixed mobile subscriptions, fixed mobile broadband subscribers, and international bandwidth. These are the three variables which I'm actually using in my data. And why did I choose ARDL method? ARDL method is a very nice method in which the regressors can be at a mixture of level 0 at first difference or purely 0 or purely 1. But it should not be of I2. It should not be differentiated at level 2. So since my variables are of two different levels, so this approach seemed to be quite appropriate for my research. So these are my variable descriptions. I have taken the log GDP as provided by the RBI data source. I have taken the log value of fixed broadband subscriptions as provided by ITU, and log international bandwidth as provided by ITU. These are my descriptive statistics. The mean, as I can see, of the GDP is 4.88, and the maximum and minimum value are 5.02 and 4.76. The mean log values of my GDP. Second step, to test whether my data has a unit root or not. If my data has a unit root, I cannot proceed with the ARDL test. So first, by using the test, I found out at level GDP, when GDP was at level, the p-value was 0.988, means it had a unit root. But when I did the first integration, then the p-value was less than 0.05, which showed GDP did not have any unit root. Same thing for fixed broadband subscribers. At level it was 0, so I did not have to integrate it to the first difference. Then international bandwidth subscribers. At level, there was an unit root because the p-value is 0.71. But when I took the first difference, it was at 0.0147, which shows that at first difference, this variable also did not have any unit root. So all the three variables, GDP at first difference, fixed broadband subscribers at level, and international bandwidth at first difference, showed no unit root. So the question of unit root was eliminated. And since there was a mixture of degrees of unit root at level and at first difference, I selected the ARDL approach. Second step was to select the lags. Over here, I took the lag structure using the eView software, and I found that at lag 2, over here, the values were quite significant. So I concluded that the model should be framed at using a lag structure at level 2. Third step, I have to find out whether there is co-integration in the long run or the short run. If the F statistic value was higher than the I0 bound and I1 bound, then there would have been a conclusion that it had a long run co-integration. But the F statistic is less than the I0 value and I1 value at all the percentage level of significance. Hence, I can conclude that the data has no long run co-integration and has short run co-integration. If there would have been a long run co-integration, I would have gone for Weken test. Then using two lags, since my data was significant at two lags, I used the two lags to estimate my model. So this is the final model which was generated by eView, and the R square was 0.616097, which is quite good. Then, in the end, after estimation of the model, I did some sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity analysis after considering the Bruce-Godfrey serial correlation test and heteroscedasticity test, the p-value was above 0.05. So, what my null hypothesis was that there did not exist any serial correlation. So I accept my null that there is no serial correlation. Similarly, for heteroscedasticity, the data is not heteroscedastic, it is homoscedastic. So by looking at the p-value, I can conclude that my model is free from any serial correlation and heteroscedasticity. Next, to check the stability test, I do the Kusum test. Over here, I can see the blue line which lies well within the bounds of the red line. So I can conclude that my data over here is quite stable since it is well within the bounds. In the end, I forecast the GDP growth. I use a forecast of the GDP in the future years. My forecast is quite a good one because the root mean square error is 0.00024 and the absolute error is also quite less. This means that my percentage of error is only 11%, which is quite low. Hence, this makes my GDP forecast quite a good one. So my prediction is for beyond 2020. Thank you everyone and hope you consider my presentation.
Greetings to all. We are presenting our research paper on bibliometric analysis of behavioral finance in Scopus database during 2018-2021. The paper is co-authored by Krishna Nambiar and Dr. Vineet Kain. Behavioral economics investigates the impact of psychological, cognitive, emotional, cultural, and social influences on individual and institutional decisions, as well as how these decisions differ from those predicted by classical economic theory. The study of the impact of psychology on the actions of investors and financial analysts is known as the behavioral finance. It even takes into account the market's repercussions. It emphasizes that investors are not always fair, that they have self-control limitations, and that they are motivated by their own prejudices. Statement of the problem. Bibliometric analysis is a comparative evaluation of written scientific articles, books, and it is valuable tool for assessing the effect of publishing on scientific world. The number of times a piece of study is cited by the other scholars is the strongest measure of its intellectual value. A bibliometric analysis, also known as a citation classic research style, is a popular method for assessing an article's impact. This paper attempts to present a concise report of the bibliometric analysis results on articles in the area of behavioral finance as keyword in Scopus database published during 2018-2021. Bibliometric data from this period is collected via BibTeX file. BiblioShiny is used to draw inferences, and this is an application supported by R package. More data is possible to identify the important journals, authors, and articles in the area of research through this tool. Coming to the main information, we could see that there were 1,230 documents within this very short period of time, from which it is contributed from 643 sources, and we have 217 single author document, which is almost 18% of the total. And we could see that the collaboration index is very high. This is one of those topics where collaborative research is getting more, and we have more authors per paper. Annual scientific production is also very promising, which is going above 300. And the slight fall in 2021 is because it is only 2021 quarter is happening, or yes, not even the half of the year is passed. So we are expecting the number to grow up again. Annual citation per year is also getting really better. And coming to the three-field plot, which specifies the major keywords of the researches happening by major researchers and their references, we could see that even machine learning is coming into play. The behavioral biases and the old prospect theory, and these are still under very much consideration. And behavioral finance, only because of the spelling differences, it is taken as two, that is IOU and IO. The spelling difference, that is only because of that the two are taken different. Otherwise, they are the most relevant keywords which we founding to be researched, and they are finding most of their references in the recent researches than which is happening much earlier. So, which is a proof that it is one of those most happening field in finance. Considering the most relevant sources, Journal of Behavioral and Experimental Finance heads the list, followed by Review of Behavioral Finance and Journal of Behavioral Finance. Considering the H index also, Journal of Behavioral and Experimental Finance lead the list, followed by Review of Behavioral Finance and Journal of Behavioral Finance. International Journal of Islamic and Middle Eastern Finance Management also holds similar H index as the second and third. Considering the source dynamics, one could easily witness that the Journal of Behavioral and Experimental Finance is having a phenomenal growth in number of publications. And this is a promising sign for authors targeting that particular author, the journal, and also a promising sign for researchers who look for recent articles. Considering the most relevant authors, Liu Wei, Li Wei, Shane Wei, etc., contribute much to this particular research in this recent years. And all these authors, almost all these authors, are very much stronger in contributing to this particular area, and most of them are active in almost all the years. And few of them are yet to contribute in 2021, which is expected to happen in this year also. And considering the author H index, Liu and Li X, Hassan, Kadiravan, Selvam, Mushianada, Sigo, Veluri, Yang, Xiao, these are having really good H index factors for this very short period. University of California heads the list of most relevant affiliations, followed by International Islamic University of Malaysia. Other institutions from Asian countries are also finding its place in this list, which is very promising. And a very promising sign to see is that China has overtaken US in this particular period in contribution, and India is in the third place. Considering a person doing bibliometric analysis in different fields, it is very rare to see that India is one of the top 5 contributing countries. So it is a very promising sign as a researcher in finance. Contributing countries also evaluated, and you could see the darker blue for India also, which means our contribution is also very significant. Most cited documents are evaluated, and Quidan Energy in Energy Economics Journal in 2018 is found to be most cited in this particular period. This is only a study within this 2018 to 2021. It is not for a longer period. Evaluating the trending topics, you can see that the pandemic is also finding its part in behavioral finance. Of course, decision making, psychology, and economic analysis are taking its part. Considering the word cloud also, decision making, AI, and investments take a good attention along with risk assessment and even data mining. Research in the area of behavioral finance is growing in developing countries also. Understanding of the most relevant sources, articles, and authors in the field would facilitate an authoritative review of literature for future researchers. Bibliometric analysis also provides insights into the trend in the field along with the most frequent keywords. More research is to happen from other countries, including India. Thank you.
Warm greetings to all. I'm very thankful to the management and the coordinators for the national conference on the topic Life in the 2020s, the social, cultural, and economic dimensions, organized by the Department of Economics, Siddharth College, Chalapuri, for giving us an opportunity to present this paper. Myself, Mrs. Seethu John, Assistant Professor, with co-author Mr. Anish P. Bhaskaran, Assistant Professor, both the Department of Commerce, St. Kitts College of Applied Sciences, Pathamutam, Kottayam, Kerala. The topic of the paper is the instant gratification of consumers through e-commerce, a study amidst COVID-19. We all know COVID-19 destroyed the growth of business in many areas, but at the same time, it had opened a wide window for digital trade and e-commerce. This is a pilot study where we try to know how far e-commerce business meet the demand of instant gratification. The outbreak has forced business and brands around the world to get creative with how they reach customers. E-commerce is a platform that enables buying and selling of goods through the internet. E-commerce has experienced an increase in the count of users and has created enormous increase in its usage through online shopping amidst COVID-19. Because of the current outburst of the corona pandemic, the entire supply chain has been interrupted, and the modes of virus diffusion and norms of maintaining social distancing may shift the choices of shopping mode among customers. Instant gratification refers to a strong feeling of experience, pleasure or fulfillment without delay. Consumers increasingly reward brands that give the shopping relationship meaning beyond the transaction. The study is conducted to examine the factors influencing buying pattern and gratification of customers through e-commerce, and also examine the relationship between perception and buying behavior amidst COVID-19, in particular to Kottayam district. The review of literature. In the study conducted by Dr. N. Shivakumar and G. Govind Prasad in 2019, according to them, the factors that affect the consumer to shop online are convenience. Consumer can order remotely to any address, and also the time factor which the consumer would save by visiting the physical store. The factors that guarantee this offline shopping mode is the tangibility of the product, touch and the feel, and also the instant gratification. The product is available immediately after payment. In the study conducted by RBI in 2020 and BROSWIN 2020, COVID-19 has a substantial impact on e-commerce globally and even has an advanced impact. But at the overall, e-commerce is proliferating because of the virus. Coronavirus compelled consumers or customers to use the internet and make it a habit in their daily routine. The objectives of the study are: the one, to analyze the perception of e-commerce amidst COVID-19, to identify the factors influencing instant gratification of e-commerce amidst COVID-19, and to know the relationship between perception and buying behavior of consumers. The methodology. The data is collected from 52 respondents and were used for the analysis of the study. The respondents were selected conveniently, and mean ranking, regression analysis, and ANOVA tests were used for the data analysis. The study was conducted among online shopping consumers in Kottayam district. The data used for the study is primary data and was collected from the respondent through structured questionnaire method. Now moving towards the hypothesis of the study. The first hypothesis is on the perception of consumers and online experience. There is no significant difference between online shopping experience and perception of customers. The second hypothesis is based on instant gratification of e-commerce. There is no significant relationship between perception and instant gratification. Now about the analysis. So the total respondents, 34.6 were male and 65.4 were female respondents. Therefore, 65% of the respondents are female. Regarding the age group, majority of these respondents fall under the age group of 20 to 29 years. Regarding education and income, 50% of respondents have completed their post-graduation and majority of them falls within the annual income of 1 lakh. And also the profile shows that majority has completed at least their undergraduation. Online shopping experience. 71% of the respondents do online shopping at least 3 times per month, and it is relatively very high when compared to other categories. Regarding the hypothesis testing, the first one was the perception of consumers and online experience. In the mean ranking, perception of consumers in respect to customer interaction with the e-commerce website is ranked first, with a score of 4.40, and followed by offer good quality of information, 4.17. Overall assessment of utility of the product, 4.12, and e-commerce website surpasses the dealing that occur in the information stage, 4.04. E-commerce website surpasses the dealings that occur during the purchase stage, that is 4. And lastly, e-commerce surpasses the dealings that occur in the post-purchase with 3.83. The ANAVA test shows that online shopping experience and perception of the customers have no significant difference. In the second hypothesis, that is, was perception and instant gratification, regression analysis shows that the R value is 0.652, which has a positive moderate relationship between perception and instant gratification of e-commerce during the midst of COVID-19. The ANOVA table exhibits that there is a significant relation between the perception and the instant gratification of e-commerce during the midst of COVID-19. So, the findings are, there is no significant difference between online shopping experience and perception of the consumers. The most rated or preferred variable for customer perception is customers' interaction with the e-commerce website. And the most least variable is e-commerce website surpasses the dealings that occur in the post-purchase. The most influencing factor for instant gratification is convenience, and least influencing factor in e-commerce is a good value for product quality. And the fourth one is, there is a positive moderate relationship between perception and instant gratification of e-commerce in the midst of COVID-19. So I would like to conclude that there is a wider scope of conducting future research on the growth of e-commerce in the specific product, especially towards the food supplies. So, as per this pilot study, we understood that the brands and the business around the world should be more creative, should provide more instant gratification so that they meet the demands of the customers. Thank you.
Greetings to all. We are presenting our research paper on bibliometric analysis of socially responsible investing in Scopus database. The paper is co-authored by Shabna Babu and Dr. Vineet K. Socially responsible investing can be described as the practice of incorporating personal values and community issues into investment decision making. It is important to recognize that the extraordinary rise of the social investment sector is a product of market demand. The three techniques that characterize socially responsible investments enable investors to select their level of involvement. They are shareholder advocacy, community investments, and further personal financial interest through social screening. Yes, Shuth is one of the most important author with Google Scholar rank 1 in this particular area. Statement of the problem. Bibliometric analysis is a statistical assessment of published scientific articles, books, or book chapters, and it is a useful method of determining the impact of publication on the scientific community. The amount of times a piece of research has been referenced by other authors is a good indicator of its academic significance. A bibliometric analysis or citation classic research design is a commonly used technique for evaluating the impact of an article. The present paper attempts to present a concise report of the bibliometric analysis results on articles in the area of socially responsible investing as a keyword in Scopus. Since the topic is of recent origin in attraction, we have covered maximum length. The bibliometric data from Scopus database published during the period 1986, which is the first most traceable data in Scopus, to till date 2021 April, is collected via BibTeX file, and the same is loaded to BiblioShiny to draw information from the database. Most important journals, authors, and articles in the area of research are identified using the different tools in BiblioShiny. Coming to the main information, during the time span of 1986 to 2021, we have only 301 sources with 546 documents. So you can say that this is a growing segment. 416 articles are there, out of which 182 are single author documents. And authors per document are also 1.74 only, which means there are a lot of single authors also functioning in this particular area. Collaboration index is 2.2, means there is sufficient co-authorships also happening in this particular area. Annual scientific production is showing a very high increasing trend in the recent years. This is a recent attraction why we are also entering into research in this particular area. Annual citation per year is also showing a very decent increasing trend, in which the highest number of citations happened in 2006. The three field plots connects the most important keywords through the authors to their references. So Richardson, being one of those most coveted authors, has referenced mostly in the first decade of 21st century. So the recent authors are also very much important, and Richard is one of those recent authors, and his references or citations backward goes into the first decade of 21st century. Apart from socially responsible investing, the environmental aspects, the performance evaluation aspects, the mutual fund aspects, the impact investment aspect, and ethical investment aspects are covered in literature. The most relevant sources were charted, and you could see that the Journal of Business Ethics has outperformed the other sources, because the number of count is almost 60, where the number 2 is having only 20, relatively close to 20. So this is an evidence that Journal of Business Ethics is a must reference for those people who are looking into research in socially responsible investing. Most locally cited sources are also coming from Journal of Business Ethics, followed by Journal of Financial Economics and Journal of Finance. The source impact by H index is also high for Journal of Business Ethics, followed by Journal of Banking and Finance, European Journal of Operational Research, and Research in International Business and Finance. The Sustainability Journal of Switzerland is also getting equal attention in the research agenda. The source dynamics shows that the Sustainability Journal of Switzerland is having the maximum growth rate in the first decade of 21st century and having a slight decline in importance for Journal of Business Ethics. The Sustainability Journal of Switzerland is having a beautiful hype in the publication in this area, and it is expected to grow further. When we talk about the most relevant authors, Richardson BJ and Scholters B are the most important authors, followed by Cortis and Doffner. So this is how bibliometric analysis help you to identify the most relevant authors in a particular bibliometric database. And of course, we should consider that this is only with respect to Scopus database. We are not covered the Web of Science, we are not covered Google Scholar. So Google Scholar ranking method is also yet another method in which you can do the same. The top author's production over time is also very important. As I said, Richardson is one of those recent authors who came into the picture. Whereas Barnett is one of those early authors, but he's less active as compared to others. So the time period or the time period points is really giving us some attraction of the research output of different authors. And we also measure the author impact by H index, where Scholters had the list. Again, Richardson is also there with Cortis. When we compare the most relevant affiliations, the University of Regensburg and University of Mino are the topmost relevant affiliations. And these are the places where people do a lot of research in this particular area. And you can see that most of the research is happening in foreign universities. And just look at the graph and you can observe that USA outshines any other country in this particular area in scientific production. They have close to 125, whereas the number 2 Canada is having just about 25. So that is the level in which the research in US is happening in this particular domain. And also this is limited to Scopus. India is also making a part in this particular dimension, which is a good sign. The most globally cited documents we are assessed, and the document by Branco in 2006 in Journal of Business Ethics is one of the most important journal in this particular dimension, followed by Barnett and others. We are also interested to see the word cloud of the most important words happened in research during this period, and investment, of course, being the number one, followed by sustainability. United States as a country, because it happens mostly, the research happened mostly in United States, and they are having more socially responsible investing platforms, and financial performance, social responsibility, philosophical aspects, portfolio selection, corporate strategy, financial system, benchmarking, social behavior, economics, and these are getting attention. Research in the area of socially responsible investing, commonly known as SRI, is growing in developing countries also. We have a good number of papers from our IAMs also. Understanding of the most relevant sources, articles, and authors in the field would facilitate an authoritative review of literature for future researchers. Bibliometric analysis also provided insights to the trend in the field along with the most frequent keywords. More research is to happen from other countries, including India. Thank you.
Myself, Benita Benny, and my co-mate Anusha Rakesh, presenting on the topic Financial Well-Being, Goal of Financial Literacy. What is financial well-being? Financial well-being is financial stability. It's a state of being in which a person is actually able to meet his expenses and has no financial obligations. It's a state of secure feeling which allows an individual to make his or her decisions by themselves. Relation between financial well-being and financial literacy. Financial literacy plays a major role in attaining financial well-being. It helps us to take sound decisions. It helps in maintaining a control on managing finances. The major factor of financial well-being are financial behavior, economic factors, psychological factors, social factors, and knowledge and experience factors. Financial literacy helps in determining the three components: knowledge, action, and behavior. Importance of financial well-being and financial literacy. First, it shows the importance of knowledge in financial market. It defines how to become financially stable and helps to know the do-haves of the financial elements. Second, it helps in achieving the financial goal. Third, it helps in boosting up financial elements. Financial elements include assets, liabilities, equity, debts, gains, etc. Fourth, it has a very positive financial attitude towards financial well-being, and also it helps in economic empowerment of an individual. Fifth, it's the most determining factor of financial well-being. Sixth, if it has a financial behavior and if it's negative, it will lead to an unstable financial position. Our primary hypothesis about the type of financial components that supports financial well-being is the set of skills that we call as financial stability, which encompasses knowing when and how to find reliable information, knowing how to process financial decisions, and knowing how to execute financial decisions. In order to prove our hypothesis, we prepared a questionnaire including the age group and educational background of the respondents. Also, we had an interactive session to draw a rough idea on how people generally manage finance and whether they are financially stable. Here we see the relation between financial elements, whether it has a positive or negative relation. Also, the importance of financial literacy for financial well-being. There were almost 20 respondents who responded to the questionnaire, and here are the results.
With the study, we have came to the following conclusion. The ability of the people to manage finance, the range of financial literacy, and general opinion about having financial literacy were highlighted in the above conclusion. From the above research, we have seen that the most of the people are not aware of financial term and that they have no financial literacy. Only 40% of the respondents have learned to manage money in their classes, and the other 60% are not even sure about whether they have learned or not. Majority of the people make financial decisions by themselves, but they have no financial literacy. So it pinpoints the importance of having financial literacy for financial well-being. Our prime aim was to find out the relationship between financial literacy and financial well-being, whether they have a positive or negative relation between them. Not only the literacy and well-being, but also the related elements of finance also play an important role in financial stability. We made these assumptions based on the current situation of the economy. People are not aware of managing finance. A developing economy might struggle if the individual of an economy is not financially stable. Higher the financial well-being, lesser the financial concern will be. And we have to always see and make sure that we spend less than what we earn. It must be the first step towards our financial growth. Also, our government and authorities can bring training programs and can teach people to how to manage finance. Thus, the majority of the people will be able to attain financial literacy, which helps in financial well-being. By this, we come to an end of this PowerPoint presentation. Thank you.
Greetings to all. We are presenting our research paper on bibliometric analysis of event tourism in Scopus database during 2018-2021 till now. The paper is co-authored by Nina Marina and Dr. Vineet K. Tourism is fueled by events which are prominently featured in most destinations' growth and marketing strategies. The importance of scheduled events in tourism, as well as their functions and impacts, has been well established, and they are becoming increasingly important for destination competitiveness. Yet, since event tourism was only developed a few decades ago in both the tourism industry and the science community, the subsequent development of this sector can only be defined as phenomenal. Donald Getz is one of the prominent authors in this field with Google Scholar rank 1. Statement of the problem. Bibliometric analysis is a comparative evaluation of written scientific articles, books, or book pages, and it is a valuable tool for assessing the effect of publishing on the scientific world. The number of times a piece of study is cited by other scholars is a strong measure of its intellectual value. A bibliometric analysis, also known as a citation classic research style, is a popular method for assessing an article's impact. The present study attempts to present a concise report of the bibliometric analysis results on articles in the area of research under event tourism as a keyword in Scopus database during 2018-2021. Methodology adopted. Bibliometric data from Scopus published during the period 2018 to 2021 April is collected via BibTeX file. It is limited to this 3 years because it is one of those area or the one of the most happening area. So the number of articles in the long run will be too high to evaluate and also to access. BiblioShiny is used to draw information from the bibliometric database. Most important journals, authors, and articles in this area of research are identified using the different tools in BiblioShiny. Coming to the analysis part. In between the 3-year period and few 4 months period of the study from 2018 to 2021 May, today, we have collected 824 sources, 1966 documents, out of which you can visibly say that there are 1508 articles, and of which the authors per document is 2.67, which means the number of or the proportion of single author document is very less. It is only 407. The collaboration index is also very high, which means a lot of collaborative research is happening in this particular field of event tourism. The annual scientific production is also enormous. More than 200 data articles are produced even in 2020 to 2001. In 2020, the count is more than 600. In 2018, the count is more than 400, almost 500. Annual citations per year is also showing a very much promising increasing trend. After 2020, we are only running in 2021, so there will be lesser number of citations. We are expecting more and more research in this particular area. There is a 3-field plot which shows the most important keywords as well as the most important references through the authors. So we could see that apart from tourism, destination image and sustainable development are one of those key dimensions talked about. And most of the references fall from the first decade of the 20th century. So this is how the network flows. We can have more evaluations from a deeper study. Coming to the most relevant sources, Sustainability Journal from Switzerland heads the list with maximum possible output in number. Event management, African Journal of Hospitality, Tourism and Leisure, tourism management, current issues in tourism are also one of those leading contributors. We can have more and more research in this particular area. Asia is also not far down. Coming to the source impact by H-index, the Journal of Tourism Management heads the list. Of course, Sustainability Journal of Switzerland is also there in the list. Current issues in tourism and analysis of tourism research, tourism geographies, tourism management perspectives, event management, tourism review, and Journal of Sports and Tourism. These are very much common and famous journals. Most of the articles happening in the event tourism are also connected with sports events. There are journals with respect to festival management and research. Coming to source dynamics, we could see that the trend is actually growing. We see a fall in 2021 because it is only of the data up to 4 to 5 months. Only 4 months data are there. So as we go into the remaining of the 2021 months, of course, it will also have an increasing trend. And the Journal of Sustainability from Switzerland having the maximum possible growth. Coming to most relevant authors, Weiss N, Kims S, Kruger M, Liu Y, Perry M, Tishawa TM, etc. contribute much during this 3-year period. So contribution of about 10 articles by Weiss in 3 years' time is not that simple. Top authors' production over time is also phenomenal. Almost all these top authors are consistent in contributing, and they are actively engaged in almost all the years. And that is why the lines are full in most of the cases. Assessing the author impact by H-index, Jiong Y and Malkowitz Mokyo are heading the list. Of course, H-index depends on not on the number of titles published, but on the number of citations. The most relevant affiliations are from Griffith University and University of Johannesburg. The other universities are also not backward, but as you can see that most of them are foreign universities. As evident from the affiliating universities, the top universities, the corresponding authors' country are also mostly from foreign nations. USA, as always, heads the list in any scientific production. UK is immediately following, and China is also. It is very pleasing to see that India is also in the list. The most globally cited documents, if we check into, it is very proud to say that India is also getting highlighted. So event tourism is an area of research in which India is growing and India is contributing. Coming to the most cited documents, Higgins and Desiboles is one of the most cited document in this 3-year period, and Rajapaksha, published in 2019, also have one of the most cited documents. So in which you can say that the Indian contributions are also counted. Coming to the most trending topics in this particular area of research, you can see that the tourism destination, sustainable development, tourism development, information management, climate change, eutrophication, economic impacts, and business development. These are getting more attention. Coming to the exhibits, 15, you can also see that the word cloud shows the most repeated words in literature during this 3 year period? Of course, tourism would be the most repeated word because the keyword was event tourism, but it is followed by tourism development, tourist destination, tourism market, tourism management, tourism economics, tourism attraction, perception, tourist behavior, sustainable development, climate change, human, and of course, as a country, China is also getting attention because they have maximum number of publications also, right? Followed by other countries from Asia. So these are the most important outputs that we could generate from this particular survey, and this could really throw light on some information. Research in the area of event tourism is growing in developing countries also. Understanding of the most relevant sources, articles, and authors in the field would facilitate an authoritative review of literature for future researchers. Bibliometric analysis also provided insights to the trend in the field along with the most frequent keywords. More research is to happen from other countries, including India. We wait to see it more. Thank you for your patient listening.
Greetings to all. Our study is titled as Influence of Perceived Usefulness and Perceived Ease of Use on Switching Intention Regarding Mobile Apps During Lockdown Period by myself, Alina Pesid, student first semester MCOM, Government College Tripunithura, and co-authored by Dr. Vineet KM, Assistant Professor of Commerce, Government College Tripunithura. Introduction. Smartphones are inevitable in today's world, particularly in the COVID-19 situation. Without a doubt, a smartphone is needed for a person's daily activities, and the use of mobile applications has become ingrained in people's daily lives. A mobile application is a computer program or software application that runs on a mobile device like a phone, tablet, or smartwatch. Businesses are using apps to improve their processes and increase the level of accessibility their customers have to them. Apps are generally small, individual software units with limited function. The mobile applications are known as an app, web app, online app, iPhone app, or smartphone app. Mobile apps are more user-friendly, less expensive, and easier to install as compared to desktop applications. OTT platforms included entertainment apps, and there are currently about 40 providers of over-the-top media services in India. This paper attempts to explain the relation between perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use toward switching intention to use mobile apps instead of laptops or computer. There are some literatures also. According to Subhadin Roy, behavioral intention has a substantial impact on usage behavior and subsequent moving intentions from computers or laptops to apps. Omar Aladdin, Aran, Zalina Zainuddin, and Fakhruddin Kamaruddin investigated the consumer's decision to move from conventional to digital payment methods. Julia Turkan presented an empirically validated model that shows how the technology acceptance model explains the determinants of intention to use Netflix. Garima Gupta et al. Highlights the changing media consumption habits of consumers. They investigate the effect of consumer engagement and service quality. Statement of problem. In this era, the smartphones and mobile applications have an escalating usage for everything. All are depending the mobile application, simply mobile apps for their daily activities and for entertainment, etc. COVID-19 increases the use of mobile applications. The study is conducted to understand the influence of perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use on switching intention regarding mobile apps. Objectives of the study. First of all, to understand the consumer's switching intention regarding mobile apps. Second, to study the relation between dependent variable, that is switching intention, and independent variables, that are perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use. And finally, to assess the usage of mobile apps. Methodology of the study. The study includes both primary and secondary sources of data. Primary data has been collected using Google Forms, adopting the technology acceptance model variables of perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and switching intention adopted from Subhadin Roy. And there is also a conceptual model which is also referred by Subhadin Roy. Analysis of tables. Table 1, profile of the sample. The survey using Google Forms could fetch 124 responses, and that is forming the basis of the study. Table 1 depicts the demographic profile of the sample. Table 2 shows test of reliability. All the three major constructs used in the study are found to possess a Cronbach's alpha above 0.7 as per Table 2 and are eligible for further statistical procedures. Table 3 shows test of normality. The data was not found to be normally distributed as per test of normality depicted in Table 3. Hence, non-parametric procedures are used to draw inferences. Table 4 shows mean, median, and p-values of perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use and behavioral intention. Table 5 shows correlation between perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and switching intention on behavior. Table 6 shows usage of mobile apps like video content apps, digital payment apps, social media apps, photo or document editing apps. Results. The users find a high level of perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and switching intention to mobile apps from laptop or computers. Perceived ease of use seems to be more than perceived usefulness. Table 5 depicts that perceived usefulness R is equal to 0.291 and perceived ease of use R is equal to 0.635 are significantly positively correlated to behavioral intention with a p-value of less than 0.05. Table 6 depicts the usage of mobile apps. Social media apps heads the usage followed by video content apps. Digital payment apps along with photo or document editing apps are also found in high use. With respect to the opinion of users on the increased usage of mobile apps during lockdown, a very high agreement mean score of 4.25, median 4 was observed and the opinion was found to be statistically significant with a p-value of less than 0.05. Discussion. Mobile apps have been getting more and more popular since the advent of Android phones. Better internet connectivity, affordable cost, and e-governance initiatives have increased the usage among common public. Switching intention from laptops or computers to mobile apps has gained momentum in the recent days. Perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use have proven to be the major drivers apart from connectivity and affordability. Innovations in the genre of technology are growing with more and more application of industry and related products of Industry 4.0. Days to come will be witnessing more research in the mobile access to application of industry and technology among common public. Thank you.
Greetings to all. Our research paper is Influence of Perceived Usefulness and Perceived Ease of Use on Behavioral Intention Regarding Digital Payment Apps by myself, Lakshmi Priya R., student first semester M.Com, Government College, Tripunithura, co-authored by Dr. Vineet K.M., Assistant Professor of Commerce, Government College, Tiruvananthapuram. The abstract. The emergence of a faceless, paperless and a cashless economy is referred to as digitalization of payment mechanisms. The Government of India's Digital India initiative has developed a forum for people to benefit from a knowledge-based electronic transition in governance. The government launched various digital payment methods such as Digital India initiative, including the Aadhaar-enabled payment services, mobile wallets, UPI, electronic point of sales and internet banking. Customers as well as business persons are benefited, while technological advancements such as big data, Internet of Things and others are gaining attraction. A cashless economy is not without its drawbacks. Identity theft and the cybercrimes, technologically unprepared population and weak internet connectivity, lack of exposure to digital payments, and a reluctance to use a digital medium for economic transactions are all major roadblocks to the country's transition to a cashless economy. The demonetization of currency resulted in massive increase in digital payments. Adoption of digital payment apps are driven by many contextual factors. TAM, that is, Technology Acceptance Model, variables of perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use dominate the research in these domains. This paper attempts to find the relation between perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use on behavioral intentions. The introduction. The RBI Ombudsman Scheme for Digital Transaction 2019 defines digital transactions as a payment transaction in a seamless system effected without the need for cash, at least in one of the two legs, if not in both. This includes transactions made through digital or electronic modes, wherein both regulator and beneficiary use digital electronic medium to send and receive money. Because of the numerous problems that cash poses, countries all over the world are heading to cashless economy. Further, India's printing and the cash-related expenses are projected to be 1.7% of GDP. The emergence of a faceless, paperless and a cashless economy is referred to as digitalization. The Government of India's Digital India initiative has developed a forum for people to form a knowledge-based electronic transition governance. The PMJDY, that is Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, which aimed to improve financial inclusion to everyone. The demonetization drive in 2016 and the introduction of UPI were all main factors that boosted digital transactions. Despite the fact that demonetization sparked widespread adoption of digital transactions, studies have shown that UPI has gained more momentum in the long run by popularizing digital payment methods. At the end of financial year 18-19, UPI has surpassed digital transactions by increasing transaction volume by 450%. According to industry experts, low cost of smartphones and internet data has accelerated the widespread acceptance of smartphones by consumers in all walks of life. The information and communication technology industry is also playing an important role in societal growth and economic digitalization. The review of literature. Majority of studies have shown that TAM, that is Technology Acceptance Model, have been used for arriving at conclusions. The main variables used in this are ATU, that is attitude towards use, PEU, perceived ease of use, PU, perceived usefulness, and BIU, behavioral intention to use. This model explains and predicts how users accept and use technology or information systems. According to a recent study, more than 70.3 billion real-time payments are processed globally, that is an increase from 41% in the previous year. The COVID pandemic has intensified trends away from cash and checks towards greater dependence on real-time digital payments. According to a survey, India maintained its lead with 25.5 billion real-time payments, led by China with 15.7 billion. According to the study, real-time payments will account for more than half of all electronic transactions between 2024 and by 2025 this will rise to 71.7%. The collaboration between government, regulator, banks and fintechs have helped us to bring such a digital and financial infrastructure. This has aided the country's goal of enabling financial inclusion as well as providing people with fast payment digitization. Consumer attitudes and intention to use mobile wallets are influenced by factors such as PEU, that is perceived ease of use, and perceived usefulness, that is PU, confidence, protection, facility conditions, lifestyle compatibility, according to Deepak Chawla and Himanshu Joshi. Usefulness and confidence were significantly influenced by ease of use, while trust, attitude, and purpose were significantly influenced by PU. Non-price parameters such as acceptance, convenience, transaction, speed, and safety were used as perception of payment instruments at POS terminals in a study done by Kamaji Ishwaran. Agilappai H is of the view that number of people using digital wallets have risen as internet access and smartphones have become very widely available. As a result, digital wallet provides users comprehensive and fulfills users' confidence and expectations. KMCB is of the view that in times of COVID pandemic, people prefer to use digital payment regardless of demographic factors such as age, gender, education, occupation, and monthly income. Arpan Kumar states that price, utility, confidence, reputation, social impact, information, privacy, and responsiveness have all been described as important factors in adoption of mobile payment services. At Dadandi, Loga and Noel Biseku Loga found that perceived usefulness is determined by compatibility, social impact, and M-payment expertise, while M-payment knowledge, confidence, and compatibility predict the ease of use of mobile payment services. It is moderated by gender, with males using it more than females. Females were more affected by social impact on perceived utility than their male counterparts. Using mobile payment systems, several countries have seen major improvements in financial inclusion by a study by Raj. Even in rural areas, that is, in those areas which is unbanked, mobile payment services have brought banking to the unbanked sectors, according to study by Venkatakrishnan and Aston. According to Deloitte, addition of 10 cell phones to the population of 100 people in the developed world boost GDP 1.2%. They are crucial. Mobile payment systems are crucial for lowering transaction rates and increasing financial integration, according to Nickerson. Come to the statement of the problem. In India, smartphone penetration crossed 42% in fiscal year 2020. It is expected to hit 51% in fiscal year 2025. With over 500 million Indians online, primarily through smartphones, the effect of digital governance can be more clear and beneficial. In our race to become a cashless economy, this is a massive revolution taking place in the digital payment industry. The aim of the study is to see how perceived utility and perceived ease of use affects behavioral intentions when it comes to digital payment apps. The objectives of the study are to evaluate the influence of perceived usefulness on behavioral intention regarding digital payment apps, the perceived ease of use on behavioral intention regarding digital payment apps. The methodology used includes both primary and secondary sources of data. The primary data has been collected using Google Forms, adopting TAM variables of perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and behavioral intention adopted from Subhath and Roy. Research hypothesis. The PU and PEU are having a significant relation with behavioral intention to use towards adoption of digital payment apps. The profile of the sample. The survey using Google Forms could fetch 124 responses, and this is forming the basis of the study. Table 1 depicts the demographic profile. The females are more in comparison to males from the study, and the age group is divided into 30 to 50 below 30, with majority coming in below 30 group. The regions are classified as rural and urban, majority coming to rural. The education is categorized as graduate, undergraduate, and postgraduate, with majority postgraduates. The occupation is divided into salaried, self-employed, and students, with majority being students. The test of reliability study. All the three major constructs used in the study are found to possess a Cronspatch alpha above 0.7 as per table 2 and are eligible for further statistical procedures. Test of normality. The data was not found to be normally distributed as per test of normality depicted in table 3. Hence, non-parametric procedures are used to draw inferences. The results. All the constructs, that is PU mean of 3.86, PEU mean with 4.14, and BI mean with 4.04, are positively perceived by users, and the same is found to be statistically significant with a p-value of less than 0.05. The perceived usefulness with R of 0.801 and perceived ease of use with an R of 0.56 are found to be significantly positively correlated with behavioral intention to use digital payment apps on mobile. As evident from the correlation coefficient, perceived usefulness is more important than the perceived ease of use. The table 6 and diagram 1 shows that Google Pay and mobile applications of respective banks are more used for digital payments. It shows that Google Pay occupies 126, followed by mobile payment app, bank payment apps, which occupies 72. It is followed by PhonePe with 48 and Paytm with 42. Market share. The table 7 depicts that Google Pay is found to be the most preferred digital payment app among users, followed by mobile applications of respective banks. Users have also expressed their opinion that usage of digital payments have increased considerably during and after the lockdown. The mean of 4.42, median 4.50. The positive opinion is found to be statistically significant at the PF less than 0.05 instead of 10.30. The inferences of the study. Thank you.
Greetings to all. My topic of presentation is influence of perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use on behavioral intention regarding OTT platforms. It is prepared by myself and co-authored by Dr. Vinit K. Assistant Professor of Commerce in Government College Tripura. Introduction. OTT platforms are those areas which provide online entertainment programs like movies, web series, etc. through internet. Recently, due to the technological advancements, most of the consumers are transformed into online video streaming platforms. It became a motive of luxury among the common people. The first OTT platform was introduced by Reliance Entertainments in 2008. OTT grabbed the attention from people by diverting from television, radio, etc. OTT gained wide popularity during the COVID-19 pandemic period, especially due to the lockdown. So many movies are released through this platform. Now, this platform becomes an expedient business sector. Amazon and Netflix are the prominent ones in OTT. It also made the consumers more convenient as they doesn't have to bother about the time and space. Now, one of the mobile service provider, Bharti Airtel, has collaborated with Amazon Prime Video. Like, those Airtel users can access Amazon Prime Video with free subscription. COVID-19 really helped this platform to climb the ladder of success. We can also categorize the OTT consumers into three. The first one, traditionalists, the second, OTT experimenter, and at the last, early adopter. This paper attempts to assess the relation between perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use or behavioral intention of consumers. Keywords: lockdown, OTT platform, and OTT consumers. Review of literature shows various studies regarding the OTT platform, its growth, its influence on the behavioral intention of the consumers. The first study of the Sujata and her group in 2015 has studied the various factors driving the users towards the OTT services. The major factors pointed are the convenience and content availability. And she also studied the majority of factors contributing to the growth of the OTT, but have not mentioned its effect on pay TV or traditional TV. The another study, Chun Mei Chen, 2019, studied that rise of OTT platforms is due to the increase in the data availability and usage. It has always proved to be a great advantage for the people by ensuring them with a personalized digital life due to the collaboration of telecommunications operators and the OTT service providers like Amazon, Reliance, and Eros International. Initially, the OTT services had brought about a turning point in phone calls and text messages of the telecommunications. Operators have provided all of this for free through the internet along with media related content. Internet penetration has eliminated the additional assistance provided by these operators, with the internet population rate crossing over 70% in India and other countries as well. Likewise, so many studies are here to analyze about the influence of OTT, among the behavioral intention of the consumers. Next, we can go to the statement of the problem. The study is conducted to understand about the influence of perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use on behavioral intention regarding OTT platforms. Recently, the OTT platforms are creating a new era in the entertainment world. We had often went to theaters to get the visual experience of movies, and we believed as these are the exact places where the movies are to be seen. And now the attitude has changed. Everyone took OTT as a convenient platform for getting entertained. COVID 19 is a predominant factor that fosters the growth of it over the other medias. Objective of study. The present study aims to assess the relation between the independent variables like perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use on the dependent variable behavioral intention. The second objective is the study also inquires the major OTT platforms used by the viewers. Next, we can go to the methodology of study. In the study, both primary and secondary sources of data are used. Google Forms are used to collect primary data. The major TAM means technology acceptance model variables of perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and behavioral intention are adopted for the study. Here we can see a conceptual model which is referred from Subadin on 2017, and he also adopted these factors from the TAM of Davis 1989. The research hypothesis. There exists significant relationship among perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and the behavioral intention. The profile of the sample. The total of 132 responses are collected using the Google Forms, and that forms the basis of the study. Table 1 describes the demographic profile of the sample. Here it is the profile of the sample. It's selected from the source of the data. We can see the most of the consumers are of female category, and the age is among below 30 is highest. And we can go to the table 2, reliability statistics, and here is test the reliability. These constructs are to be reliable and eligible for further statistical procedures with a Cronbach alphas about 0.7 as depicted in table 2, Nunali 1978. Table 3 shows the details regarding the test of normality. The data is not found to be normally distributed as the p-value is less than 0.05. Test results are depicted in table 3. Hence, non-parametric procedures are used to draw inferences. The table 4 shows the perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and behavioral intention. The sources from our computer from survey data. Table 5 shows relation between perceived use, perceived ease of usefulness, and perceived behavioral intention. And in this table, we can see the data and factors analyzed on the basis of Spearman rank correlation. Table 6 shows the OTT platform used by the consumers, and along with the diagram is also shown. From the diagram itself, we can see that YouTube is the first position or maintain the first position that is used by most of the consumers. The table 7 shows the opinion on the increased usage of OTT in lockdown, and it is tested using Wilcoxon sign rank test. The results were analyzed as that users perceived each constructs positively, and the same is found to be statistically significant, which had the p-value less than 0.05. The table 4 shows the positive perception in high mean scores for perceived usefulness, perceived use of use, and behavioral intention. As per table 5, perceived usefulness and perceived use of use are found to be significantly positively correlated with behavioral intention with a p-value less than 0.05. The table 6 and the diagram 1 shows that YouTube is found to be the most used platform, followed by Amazon Prime Video, Hotstar, and Netflix. As per table 7, the users expressed their opinion that the usage of OTT platforms have increased during and after the lockdown. Discussion. OTT was the new normal for entertainment in lockdown and the situation created in pandemic. Users find high agreement to perceived usefulness and perceived use of use, which drive ultimately to better behavioral intention. Still, the variety, the affordability, and user demands vary across the platforms. YouTube still appears to be the cheapest platform for OTT entertainment. Serious research and marketing attention is to flow further into the user behavior in OTT platforms. Thank you.
Respected Chair and my dear fellow participants, I am Pritha Thomas, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, St. Kitts College of Applied Sciences, Kottayam, Kerala. The paper that I wish to present today is titled Envisaging the Repercussions of Self-Help Groups in Women Entrepreneurship, a study conducted with special reference to Kargachal Panchayat of Kottayam District. Introduction. The emergence of women entrepreneurs and their contribution to national economy is quite visible in India. The number of women entrepreneurs has grown over a period of time, especially in the 1990s. Self-help groups have a significant role in contributing towards women's economic, social, and political areas of entrepreneurship. The main objective of self-help groups is to encourage women in women entrepreneurship. They provide women with the financial backup they need to start business ventures and actively participate in the economy. Self-help groups has improved the status of the life of women members by increasing their decision-making capacity both in the family and in the society by ensuring their involvement in the various economic and social activities by developing their capacity building. It is also reported that self-help groups have a role in improving the country's economic development. Statement of the problem. In olden days, women were restricted to take part in any social activities and not given a role in decision making, not even within her family. The situation was worse in rural and remote areas where women were generally given less consideration. Now the situation has changed, and in today's scenario, more women are engaged in income generating activities and being support to family in financial needs. This was possible due to self-help groups providing small finance to poor women for encouraging them to involve in their own entrepreneurial activities, whether small scale or large scale. Empowerment of women through entrepreneurial activities is seen as one of the most important means of poverty eradication. Lack of capital, financial support, and credit are the serious constraints faced by women for their development in entrepreneurship. The main aim of this study is to analyze whether the self-help groups are able to empower women by providing financial support for women entrepreneurship. The objectives of the study are to analyze the operating system of self-help groups for the mobilization of savings and delivery of credit to women, to analyze the economic gains derived by the members after joining the self-help groups, and to analyze the empowerment of women psychologically, economically, and sociologically. Based on the objectives, the following hypothesis is set. The null hypothesis being there is no significant association between perceived impact of self-help group membership on women entrepreneurship and financing obtained from self-help groups, and the alternative hypothesis being there is a significant association between the perceived impact of self-help group membership on women entrepreneurship and financing obtained from the self-help groups. The methodology used for the study is as follows. The study was carried out in Ward 16 of Kargachal Panchayat by selecting 6 self-help groups by random sampling method, and members of the selected units were the respondents. Both primary and secondary data are used. Primary data is enumerated using questionnaires and schedules in the study region. The sample size for the study comprised of 120 respondents of Kargachal Panchayat and secondary data was collected from NGO reports, books, periodicals, internet, and other documents. The major limitations of the study would be that the study is confined to a rural area and hence the results may not be applicable to the members of self-help groups of urban areas. Another major limitation is the fact that majority of the respondents were of low educational background and hence they were skeptical about sharing information. Coming to the data analysis and interpretation, when asked for the reason for joining a particular self-help group, 40% of the women stated that being able to obtain financial support was the reason for joining the self-help group. Another 25% said that it improves their economic status. It was also found that 88 out of the 120 women considered for the study, that is, 90% of them had obtained financial assistance from self-help groups at one point of time or the other. Testing of hypothesis. A chi-square test was conducted between the perceived impact of self-help group membership on women entrepreneurship and the financing obtained from SHGs in order to find out if there is an association between the two. The calculated value of chi-square was obtained as 7.3493 at a 5% level of significance and the degree of freedom being 1. The critical value for which is 3.84. And since the calculated value is greater than the table value, it is possible for us to reject the null hypothesis with 95% accuracy, implying that there is a significant association between the perceived impact of self-help group membership on women entrepreneurship and the financing obtained from them. The major conclusions of the study may be listed as follows. It has been found that self-help groups provide not only financial aid and assistance, it also provides aid and assistance about what entrepreneurial activities they could engage. It has also been found that after joining the self-help groups, not only the income of women has increased, but also the social status, respect they got from the society has also increased. Hence, it may be concluded that self-help groups play a very important role in women empowerment as a whole, and therefore measures to strengthen its role and include more women under its scope may be undertaken, because empowering a woman is a first step to empowering a society. Listed are some of the references that I have considered, especially in order to identify the research gap for my study. Thank you. Thank you so much.
A pleasant day to one and all. Myself, Sheena Sarah Winnie, presenting the paper entitled Discourses of Change, Repercussions of COVID-19, Vocabulary and Etiquettes. The 4 discourses chosen for study to analyze the aspects of infusion of COVID vocabulary and COVID etiquettes are academics, media, commerce and trade, domestic transactions. The first discourse, academics, includes teaching learning process, research activities, academic skill upgradation ventures. Media, the second discourse, print, digital, online, including advertisements and movies. The third discourse, commerce and trade, covers businesses, supply chains, stock markets, and many others. Finally, the very familiar domestic transactions. This fourth discourse covers conversations and practices in day-to-day lives. Let me define COVID-19 vocabulary. Refers to the word stock created or generated in response to COVID-19. They are the latest entrants into our language stock with their official entry into dictionaries and lexicons. COVID etiquettes. is a portmanteau term formed as a result of the blending of the two terms COVID-19 and etiquettes, referred to code of behavior or practices to prevent infection, basically the do's and don'ts during the pandemic era. Let me walk you through chosen words, expressions, etiquettes, and their impact. Online, new normal, digital, OTT, WFH, antigen, isolation, quarantine, negative, positive, temporarily closed, no contact delivery, home delivery, takeaway, webinars, online courses, e-certificates. Hello, am I audible? These are the contributions of these testing times into our discourses. COVID vocabulary has impacted human lives and society at large. Skepticism, monotony, curiosity, and creativity. Creativity has always been the culmination of a prolonged period of unpleasant events. COVID etiquettes: wear face masks, social distancing, wash, sanitize hands, supplemented with stay home, stay calm, stay healthy. COVID etiquettes also have their share of impact. Fear, anxiety, hygiene. Impact of COVID etiquettes has various dimensions. Physical, mental, emotional, and social realms are affected. The paper initiates a tripartite probe exploring how COVID vocabulary and etiquettes have been assimilated into human discourses. What are the effects on human beings and their lives? Thirdly, what is the resourcefulness of such effects? The table is a consolidation of the study undertaken. In the discourse of academics, sweeping changes can be noticed in the teaching, learning, as well as assessment modes. Academic management systems and learning management systems have developed. Open book tests have been explored more than ever. Flexible timings and sharpening of research acumen seem to be the resourcefulness of this discourse. Novelty seem to be the latest resourcefulness of advertisements, which come with creative taglines, of course, to persuade the consumer. With the popularization of OTT platforms, movies of various genres and duration are now accessible to more number of people. Choice levels have gone higher, with shopping turning online. Husbandry practiced in digitalized payments. Health and hygiene bettered with healthier options in food choices. Family bonds have been augmented with incommunicado, not to be seen anywhere. Family interactions and personal interactions have increased, but some on digital platforms. In the conclusion of the paper, I have enumerated the outcomes. The repercussion of the COVID-19 pandemic scenario with relation to the vocabulary and etiquettes. Humanity upskilled, variant psychosocial quotient detected, social superstructures redesigned. They seem to be the repercussions of these testing times. Questionnaires and surveys and textual analysis are the methodologies adopted to undertake this study. Gratitude to the organizers of the National Conference on Life in the 2020s, Social, Cultural and Economic Dimension. Stay home, stay safe.
Good morning, everyone. Myself, Sri Lakshmi K, Assistant Professor on Contract, Carmel College, Mala. Topic I am presenting here is a perceptual study on quality of life of teachers in self-financing colleges in 2020 using SQA with respect to Thrissur district. This paper is co-authored by Dr. Vineet K. from Government College, Tripunithura. So the contents include introduction, statement of the problem, objectives, research hypothesis, research methodology, inferences and analysis, suggestions, conclusion and reference. Now, moving to introduction, the year 2020 raised questions about life of people, its value, its quality at the same time. Literally, The year was a disaster for many temporary workers in various sections, but the most adaptable community to the pandemic were health and education. And this education include teaching and learning, and they made a great comeback after getting affected by pandemic and lockdown. But the quality of life started getting affected. So the statement of the problem is that year 2020 has been disastrous for various service as well as profession. With student community residing in villages, new methods were adopted by teachers. And it contributed to increased communication with students but a reduced personal time for teachers. So this paper studies social quality of teachers using SQA approach, but that constructs is used to know the real problems faced by the teaching community. Now this SQA means social quality approach. It was developed during the 90s where the European countries started repositioning their concentration from economic indicators to the social indicators. So, but it has been very difficult to choose which all the indicators could be commonly used. So, it was a tiresome work for choosing indicators adaptable to each nation until the social quality model was developed. Social quality model has 4 indicators: economic security, social cohesion, social inclusion, and social empowerment. Then there are 2 objectives of the study. First, to analyze the perception towards to construct and dissatisfaction, and second one to analyze significant relationship between satisfaction and SES and SI. Then there are 2 sub objectives: to know the association between subject taught and workload, and to know the association between subject taught and time spent for students. The research methodology is descriptive in nature, and a model suggested by Ms. Abbott is used, and the geographical scope is Thrissur district with snowball sampling as a sampling technique. Questionnaire is the instrument which is used. A sample of 37 teachers is selected and 22 questions has been asked. Then secondary data includes articles and journals. Then both test of reliability and test of normality has been conducted, and reliability test has passed. But apart from the construct SES and SI, the satisfaction measurement is not found to be normally distributed, which lead to usage of non-parametric procedure. Now this is the profile of the sample. So sub-objectives has been tested, and this is the inference. Chi-square test, which analyzed association between subject taught and workload, showed a significant association. Thus a corresponding analysis was conducted. And it is seen that science teachers have more than 20 hours of workload, commerce teachers 16 hours, management teachers 16 hours 70 to 20 hours, and other subjects 17 to 20 hours workload. Then sub-objective 2, which showed the association between subject taught and time spent, it was revealed that there is no significant association, which means teachers have spent time with students depending upon their own personal preference. Then one more association has been studied, that is subject taught and experience of salary reduction. But there is no association between subject taught and salary reduction because it depends upon fund available to the management. Then the main objective is studied, that is the perception, and it was found that absence of social and economic support is perceived high among teachers, and it is found to be statistically significant. But there exists a moderate perception to social inclusion, and overall satisfaction is found to be moderate. Then objective 2 is about the relationship. Absence of social and economic security is significantly negatively correlated to satisfaction. So the absence lead to dissatisfaction. Then social inclusion is positively correlated. Higher the social inclusion, higher the satisfaction, but it is not found to be statistically significant. Then, so now moving to the findings, workload and subject taught have an association. But that is because higher the credit, higher the number of hours allotted. So it is a common assumption. Then, but when it comes to additional hours, there is no association between subject and time spent by teachers, as depending upon the time available to every teacher will be different and they will take their own preference. Then whatever the salary scheme and salary a teacher got, no association could be found between subject taught and salary reduction. because depending upon the online working hours, lab hours, offline classes for PG, teachers received salary. Then the perception of two constructs, namely social and economic support and social inclusion, and the dependent variable satisfaction was analyzed, and you will see that economic support and its absence will make an impact on the quality of life of a teacher. Economic indicators are strongest when come to the quality. Then so the suggestions are: quality of life hugely depends on economic support and economic security a person receives. It is important along with all other constructs such as cohesion, empowerment and inclusion. So during the pandemic period, the economy and the society, a person become minimum wage to perceive all other constructs. So when only a teacher have economic security, all other the social quality could be perceived by them. That is why even though there are perception, you couldn't find a significant association. Then to perceive anything, the society offers, the economic security has to be maintained first. So this paper suggests for ensuring economic indicators to self-financing college teachers so that all other constructs could be positively perceived by the teachers. So the conclusion is quality of life largely depend upon economic support and security received by an individual. Even the social quality depends on economic indicator. The year 2020, which witnessed work from home culture and salary reduction, affected numerous professions, and teaching is also one of the profession affected. So the hypothesis formulated on the basis of literature review has been tested in the study, and it has suggested that minimum salary package will contribute to the social quality of life, whatever be the social inclusion, social support or social empowerment. Economic indicator is important. That is the conclusion to the study, and these are the references. Thank you.
The topic we will be discussing today is gig economy, a boon to the mankind and the environment. Now, gig economy is nothing but the freelance work which is emerging these days due to the coronavirus. Now, if you look at coronavirus, it has brought about a lot of changes in our life, and one such change is the emergence of freelance work. Now, freelance work gives us many benefits, such as, you can work from your home, you can make sure your kids are safe, like you can make sure that your parents are around, like it has many benefits. But what we are doing today is actually whether the emergence of freelance work has contributed any kind of benefit to the environment as a whole. Now, the word sustainability is something which we hear very often. The word sustainability brings to light the concept of not compromising anything for the present, but making sure we have enough for the future. Now, this concept makes sure that the world has everything, but make sure we leave something for the future. Now, through this topic, we are trying to probe whether the gig economy or the emergence of freelance work has contributed much benefits to the environment rather than the normal cause of work. Now, for the significance of this study, the gig economy is not only contributing to the growth of the economy and an entirely new concept of work, but also some environmental relief. Many studies have been contributed on the concept of freelance work, but no study has been done on the kind of environmental benefits it offers to the economy. Some of the various benefits which is given by the freelance work is mentioned, but very few have talked about the environmental benefits it has been offered to the economy as a whole. So this research is mainly done with the purpose of highlighting the emerging trend in our economy as well as the amount of environmental benefits it can offer to the world. Environmental sustainability is much talked about issue, and many efforts are in place to ensure the sustainability of the nature as well as the environment. Anything that has a positive effect on the nature is considered to be a great achievement. The study probes to find out if the freelance work is silently contributing toward the overall achievement or sustainability of the environment. Also, the study tries to find out the work-life balance that is maintained by the freelance job. The study tries to find if the freelancers are able to maintain the healthy life balance as it is usually painted, or is it in fact more difficult for them to maintain. So the objectives of the study, we are trying to probe two main objectives. The first objective is to get an idea about the environmental benefits the gig economy or the freelance work can offer to the environment, as well as the second one is to have an idea on the work-life balance maintained by the freelance workers. So we have two main hypotheses for this. The first hypothesis is H0, the environmental impact is not largely reduced by the emergence of freelance work. H1, the environmental impact is largely reduced by the emergence of freelance work. And for the hypothesis 2, H0, the work-life balance is difficult to maintain in freelance work. H1, the work-life balance is quite easily achieved with freelance work. So for the purpose of data, the employees working in the gig sectors have been considered. The sectors which offer gig works or freelance work is quite high. So what we did is we made sure that teaching, Uber driving, content driving, etc. are the ones that is considered. Now the limitation which we faced is that we were not able to find many people, but through the use of snowball sampling, we were able to find a lot of people who were able to give us an insight into the study. So for the use of the hypothesis, chi-square test was considered for the first hypothesis, that is the environmental impact is not largely reduced by the emergence of freelance work. So through the test, what we found out is from the target population of 75, the Pearson chi-square value is 0.227 and the p-value is 0.893. Since p-value is greater than 0.05, the null hypothesis is rejected and the alternate hypothesis is accepted. Hence, we could conclude that the environmental impact is affected by the emergence of freelance work. The next hypothesis was the work-life balance, which we were able to maintain through freelance work. And the study said that the work-life balance is difficult to be maintained. For the same thing, we used chi-square, and it was found that the work-life balance is indeed, in fact, difficult to maintain in the normal work, and it is easier to maintain in the gig economy. So the findings which we can conclude is that the study was mainly concentrated on two main areas, the environmental impact and the work-life balance. And the environmental impact is largely reduced by the emergence of freelance work. This is due to the fact that the usage of paper is reduced to a great extent, the amount of travel as well as the carbon emission is reduced to a great extent, since the people need not go to a definite place of work. So in this event, the environment is greatly protected because of these few positivity. And another factor that was considered was the work-life balance maintained by the freelancers. The freelancers, they enjoy greater freedom in choosing the work timings as well as the projects which they prefer. This makes them easier to maintain a better work-life balance. So all in all, it can be concluded that the emergence of freelance work and its growing popularity is going to be beneficial to both human beings as well as the environment in the long run. Thank you.
This is Professor Davis Chacko. I am the co-author of this study. I was associated with Nebus Karyakoshi, a final year student of the Bangalore Institute of Technology. The study is on the consumption pattern of Indians during the pandemic with specific reference to Bangalore. What we try to look at in this study is understanding, number one, what had changed in the consumer pattern, what do they consume, what did they prefer pre-pandemic, and now that the pandemic has started, what has shifted in the consumer tastes. We did know that people did like eating out. They did give a lot of importance to social status. Social life was one of the priorities of people. People were more than happy to spend a lot of money to get the happiness through this. What we try to find out is, Does it still continue today? Or has anything shifted? Has the people's priorities changed from materialistic things to probably health, hygiene, or the simple need to live for the next day? The problem statement was very simple. Since the start of the pandemic, has there been a shift? Did people look to have more of healthier food, more of immunity boosters, and look to get more of a healthy lifestyle? What we try to do is understand this shift in consumer behavior. This is needed so that manufacturers can make a call as to what kind of goods are required and in what quantity they should be manufactured. The prime objectives of the study were to identify the spending pattern of Bangaloreans during the years 2019 and 20 and to analyze the reasons behind the change in spending pattern. The methodology was a combination of both primary as well as secondary research. The primary data has been collected using an e-questionnaire. We've got 80 people who have responded, and the tools that we used for analysis were percentage analysis, graphs, and charts. Secondary data sources were newspaper articles and web sources. What you can see now is the analysis, interpretations, and findings. What we can see here is that many people did choose to buy things online. Many people did opt for having home hygiene products and using it on a daily basis. People have reduced their visits to salons and they are using more of home salon products. What we did infer from this entire study is that people do purchase goods online mainly because of the convenience factor. They have started using immunity boosters. A majority of them use it on a daily basis. And most importantly, people are a lot more cautious. They've shifted away from going to regular salons to home salon products, which does show that people are less worried about their looks and they're more worried about their safety, both theirs and the people around them. We did have certain limitations, one being time and two being that we focused only on Bangalore. Future scope is we can move to other cities, possibly even other states. Also, we had looked only at immunity products, home hygiene products, and home salon products. So, future research can be conducted on any other online services whose demand had surged during this pandemic. These are the references that we had. Thank you very much for your time.
Greetings to one and all. I am Bhagyashree S. final year BCom student at St. Thomas College Autonomous Thrissur. I am here to present a paper on the topic, The Relevance of Middlemen in Supply Chain of Pharmaceutical Industry in Thrissur District. Dealing with medicines, pharmaceutical sector needs to have a fast and efficient distribution system. Healthcare distribution is not only mere delivery, but it is about getting the right medicine to the right patient at the right time. Here is where a company would require a middleman. Since market size and customer location has expanded, the need of intermediaries such as wholesalers and retailers have increased. Companies are forced to strengthen their logistics. Now, let me speak about what made me do this research in this topic. Since the process of distribution of drugs is a complex system, the drugs goes through many hands. Medicines being a vital part of the person's life, it has to be performed in the fastest way possible. There must be a healthy and a good relationship between the intermediaries involved in the supply chain. But no simpler process is initiated by pharma companies or intermediaries to take the medicines in a less complicated way. The more the complex process, the more the logistic issues are faced. Objectives. First one, to show the perception of middlemen on the current supply chain of pharmaceutical industry in Thrissur district. Second one, to study the impact of logistic challenges faced by middlemen in the distribution system. Third, to study the relationship between the intermediaries with the companies and customers or patients. Fourth, to study the impact of middlemen of online methods were introduced in the supply chain. Now, let me give you a briefing of the research methodology. The research design is descriptive. Questionnaire and questions over telephonic conversations was prepared after analyzing the various aspects of the topic. Simple percentage analysis method is used to analyze the data collected from 70 respondents, out of which 39 were wholesalers, 29 were retailers, and 2 were company representatives. Analysis includes simple bar diagram, multiple bar diagram, pictorial representation for easier analysis. Chi-square test is also done. The respondents were among the Thrissur district ones. The scope of the study is to evaluate the relevance of middlemen in pharmaceutical industry in Thrissur district. The study is based on the primary data collected from 70 intermediaries of pharmaceutical supply chain who are wholesalers, retailers, and company representatives. Moving on. Fast and deep distribution along with effective promotion would be the aim of any company once it completes production. In the case of medicines, there is a third-party intervention. Doctors decide as to which molecule or brand has to be prescribed. Here comes the role of the company representatives, who keeps the doctors updated about the medicines and their effectiveness. The main reason of pharma industry to expand their supply chain to have a financial stability and to spread their supply network. Perception on mutual profitability among the intermediaries was assessed, and the response was affirmative. Among the incentives given to the intermediaries by the company, most received is the monetary incentive, such as bonus, product discounts, etc., followed by sponsorship, followed by gifts and other amenities. Perception of supply chain being a complex system, the response was half and half situation where 49 agrees and the 51 doesn't agree to the fact that the supply chain is complex. Analysis revealed that if online methods is introduced in supply chain, reducing cost would be the prominent advantage, followed by saving time of supply, followed by reaching the wide range of customers, followed by providing 24/7 services online. Bar chart shows the feedback frequency of intermediaries to the company. Evidently, the intermediaries have reports submitted to the companies time to time. Ranked by intermediaries, logistics challenges faced by them in the following order starting from rank 1, which is the highest. Delay in delivery, defective products, company default, expired products, and other concerns. The next one is, ranked by intermediaries, the factors that affect the relationship of the company towards the intermediaries in the order as follows. Discount and profit margin on medicines, time management of the company, credit period provided, response on replenishing defective and expired goods. The next one is ranked by intermediaries, factors affecting the relationship of intermediaries towards the company, which is the opposite of the above. First one is help in retaining consumers. Second one is timely payment. Third is provide right market information. And fourth one is maintain good and fair relationship with the company. Data analysis is shown in the bar diagram. Finally, the chart of middleman's perception on problems faced on eliminating middlemen from the supply chain. The order is financial problems, logistic problems, time management, promotional problems, and other problems. After analysis and evaluating the findings, the suggestions I would like to give are as follows. A competitive intermediary has deals with over 40 medium and large-scale pharmaceutical companies. There is a competition among the intermediaries as well as the companies. The company must be competitive enough to capture the best intermediaries to have a wide range of product distribution. There must be satisfying and convincing share of profit margin for intermediaries on the product. This must be managed by not overvaluing the product. Companies must continue to provide intermediaries with monetary and non-monetary incentives in return of services rendered by them. By this way, the companies can retain their intermediaries and can maintain a loyal relationship with them. One of the important factors for companies' decision making is the market information. The best source of market information are their own loyal intermediaries. Intermediaries must be more frequent in providing their feedbacks and market information to their company. Huge travel time of medicines are prone to damage of the product. Company and intermediaries must take proper care of fragile medicines which is transported from one place to another. Delay in delivery of goods is the most faced constraint. Using a speeder transportation mode like shipping it through air or cargo ship can help tackle the issue of delivery of goods without delay. Production is run by the company, but distribution is in the hands of middlemen. For smooth distribution of medicines, company must maintain good and fair relationship with intermediaries. Medicine is a necessity, and making drugs available for patients at the time of need is very, very important. Therefore, time management must be given ample importance in the supply chain. Online supply methods have advantage, but it can have disadvantages more. Introduction of online means can give rise to duplicate goods like lookalikes, drug abusing, etc. Lack of prescription verification, packaging issues, selling of expired goods, etc. There are some large-scale constraints that cannot be avoided by middlemen. Those are financial, logistic, time management, and promotional constraints. Measures must be taken to reduce impacts of these risks. Intermediaries undoubtedly play a major and an inevitable role in the supply chain of pharmaceutical industry. Let me wrap up with thanks. It is my honor to be presenting here, and I thank you for giving me this great opportunity. Thank you, everyone.
Hello everybody, I'm Sana. I'm from Lawrence School, Lovedale. I'm presenting a paper on psychological impacts of COVID-19. The COVID pandemic has wreaked havoc across the globe. There is an increasing sense of fear, tension, worry, and anxiety among the people, especially the adolescent and aged population, along with healthcare workers and people with comorbidities. Alice G. Walton found that stress and anxiety are caused due to the fear of losing jobs, loved ones, contracting and spreading the virus, strained familial relations and friendships, all revolving around one main characteristic, that is uncertainty. The survey by WHO was conducted from June to August 2020 among 130 countries across WHO's 6 regions. It evaluates how the provision of mental, neurological, and substance use services has changed due to COVID 19, the types of services that have been disrupted, and how countries are adapting to overcome these challenges. WHO survey findings. Over 60% reported disruptions to mental health services for vulnerable people. More than a third reported disruptions to emergency interventions. 30% reported disruptions to access for medications for mental, neurological, and substance use disorders. Around three-quarters reported at least partial disruptions to school and workplace mental health services. Lockdowns imposed as a measure to contain the spread leads to disruption of normal lifestyle, resulting in significant changes, profound adaptation, and maladaptive behavior that may be a precursor to various psychological disorders. The pandemic has impacted the lives of people of different sex and occupations. The healthcare workers are constantly exposed to the risk of contracting the virus and transmission of the virus to their loved ones. Sporting professionals are subjected to repeated quarantines and isolation to follow their passion that drives their lives. This creates quarantine fatigue, loss of interest in the sport, etc. Children don't have much of a social interactive base, they are deprived of societal exposure that is crucial in development. Singh S. stated that a fix at a particular developmental stage causes regression, resulting in incompatibility between development and age. I would like to conclude by saying that all three aspects of health, mental, physical, and social well being, are interrelated and cannot exist in the absence of the other. For the mental well being of the society, parental, familial, societal, economic, and professional support must be ensured. Thank you.